Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome back to the Tarkir Dragonstorm Early Access event. Thank you very much to Wizard of the Coast for providing me with this early access account, and we're just going to get right back into it. I have been really enjoying the format so far in Sealed here. We have done an Obzon Sealed deck, a Teamer Sealed deck, and now, as we've done two very multicolored, very soupy decks, 4 and 5 color stuff, just jamming everything out, I'm going to go the opposite end of the spectrum here and see if we can't do something more aggressive in Sealed. Mardu is the most aggressive clan in Tarkir. It is red, white, and black. It's got a bunch of great cheap aggressive creatures with the Mobilize mechanic, spitting out a bunch of 1/1 warrior tokens that sacrifice themselves at the end of the turn. So it's got some really nice ways to utilize the fact that it has a really wide board, some cards that get better the more creatures you have on board, some cards that allow you to sacrifice those tokens that are going to die anyway for extra value, and some cards that like ping your opponent every time a creature enters, so that when you're like mobilizing turn over turn, getting those tokens turn over turn, you're pinging your opponent a bunch. So seems like a pretty sweet deck, a pretty sweet clan to play around with. In the much more aggressive vein, very differently to our first couple sealed decks. So hopefully it works out for us. I mean, as always with the sealed in Tarkir, you get to pick a specific clan. So we're going to have 2 packs of Mardu, 4 packs of anything, just like you would at pre-release. And that means hopefully we are going to have enough Mardu cards to still be able to jam out with a pretty aggressive deck on this one. But we'll find out how it all plays out. We'll find out what cards we get to play with today as we bust open these packs. So our rares here, we've got Inevitable Defeat for a removal spell in Mardu, clears something out of the way, drains our opponent for life. That's definitely great for the aggressive Mardu decks. We've got a Stadium Headliner here, which is mobilizing, spitting those warrior tokens out, getting some damage in that way. And you can sack this later to clear out a lot of blockers. It only kills 1 creature, but it can kill creatures that get up to even really high toughness because of the amount of mobilizing it can do. By itself, you know you're going to have at least 2 creatures on board, so even with just 1 other creature on the board, you can attack with this, get that warrior token, then sack and deal 3 to some kind of blocker to get that out of the way, so pretty good card there. Not the most aggressive looking rares, sadly, because that's it, really, for aggressive Mardu cards. Then we have a Scavenger Regent, which is still a 4-mana 4/4 flyer, ward of discard a card. But the other half of it is like a board wipe, which is still really strong, but not really an aggressive card. And then the Sig Ceremonies, sadly, just kind of unplayable in Sealed. You can't really build a deck to utilize that super well and try to get like a bunch of enter triggers off of things and then have them turn into 2/2s, or a bunch of death triggers off of things. It's a very fun, cool card to build around in constructed formats. But in Sealed, where you just bust open 6 packs, it's unlikely to do anything great. And then the rares are sadly a little all over the place. 1 Obzon card, 1 Teamer card. So we don't really have like a good backup color trio, backup clan here. So I think this is our weakest sealed pool so far in terms of the rares. But it still has 3 solid ones in the Mardu color trio. So that's probably the direction we go here. This Teamer card seems insane though. 5 mana for 2 5/5 elephants. And then double the power toughness of each creature you control. Okay. I think Roar of Endless Song is our best rare, but again, having 3 rares in Mardu and only 1 in Teamer still kind of probably leans me at that direction. And then there's also, of course, the fact that with 2 extra packs of red, black, and white cards, we're unlikely to have that many blue and green cards to go Teamer. So I have 9... sorry, not 9. I have 8 blue spells and only 6 green spells versus 16 white spells, 13 black spells, and 15 red spells. So yeah, we've got way more in Mardu than the other colors. What do we have in colorless and multicolored? We got Dragonstorm Globe, fine little mana rock for any deck that's trying to splash around into 4th and 5th colors in the format. Jadecast Sentinel's kind of quite filler, but it can shut off some graveyard abilities. We've got a couple Sultai cards. The Rakshas's Bargain for fine card draw. The Lion Wait has been phenomenal for my opponents. It's a good 2-for-1 where you pick up your best creature from the grave, put that back in your hand for later, and not destroy, but deal damage to an opposing creature. So you get to remove an opposing threat and pick up a good threat to play later at the same time. So great card. Riverwheel Sweep's a fine 2-for-1. You slow down one of their cards and you temporarily draw a card of your own. It's something you can only play till the end of your next turn, but it still works great with Jeskai mechanic, where you're trying to cast 2 spells in 1 turn. By setting up the exiled spell, you can really get your flurry going that way. Skirmish Rhino, great abs on uncommon to go with our Thoughtseize on a stick, Severance Priest there. We also have 2 of the Reputable Merchants. Okay, it's kind of a lot of Obzon cards. That's a little interesting to keep in mind. We have 2 Bivouac for fixing towards the Roar of Endless Song, but that's the only teamer card. And then 3 Mardu cards here, Inevitable Defeat, 2 Reigning Victors, pretty nice for the Mardu deck, and 2 Nomad Outposts for fixing there. For the common dual lands, we also have 3 Mardu duels, and only 2 teamer ones. As much as I love Roar of Endless Song, I think we kind of just have to play Mardu in the Mardu sealed pool. I mean, we've seen the quantity, again, of spells per color as well drops off a cliff looking at the 2 non-Mardu colors because of those 2 seeded packs that only give you Mardu cards. So let's take a peek through the white, the black, and the red, see what the strongest 2 colors between these 2 are, and try to use those 2 colors as the core of the deck. I think that's really important for very aggressive decks. That way, all of your cheap creatures that you are going to want to run are consistently castable on turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. It's okay if your late game plays, if you don't have the right color to cast your late game plays until late in the game, because, you know, if I don't have a white source until turn 5 on average, that's okay if my white spells are 5 mana spells. But if my white spells are a bunch of good 2 mana creatures, and I have a low enough number of white sources in the deck that on average I don't draw the white source till turn 4 or turn 5, that's a really, really big problem. So that's why the more aggressive your deck is, the more you want to focus up on just 2 core colors and make sure you have a lot of sources of those so you can actually be consistently casting 1 and 2 mana spells. Our previous 2 sealed decks have been really slow, kind of grindy, mana fixy stuff, so we've focused on just a bunch of different colors there. But this time around, playing Mardu, I think you really want to try to play it pretty aggressive if you can. So anyways, we'll look at the quality of our cards now. Tempest Hawk just sucks by itself, but Delvakin Pack Beasts looks incredible. I played against this a couple times. It's been fantastic. 3 warriors jamming in every turn. There's a lot of great synergies for it if you can sack those tokens, if you can ping your opponent when you play tokens. Anything like that is going to be phenomenal. We've got good removal with an Osseous Exhale here, as well as 2 Static Snares. Those are excellent removal. And then the Twin Maw Stormbrood is sick, because even if you're not a white deck, 1 and a red, deal 5 to a creature. It's just a good removal spell, so that's just a good red card already. The Pack Beasts are very fun with Mobilize as a mechanic. They work really well with the Dalvakin Pack Beasts. It's kind of cute synergy right there. Dalvakin Pack Beasts and Salt Road Pack Beast. Somehow this one's an Ox and this one's a Beast, even though they're both Pack Beasts. I don't know about that, but this is only 2 mana? No, it's 3 mana to play. No, I'm wrong. It's 2 mana to play if you attack with Pack Beasts, because you attacked with Pack Beasts and 3 1/1 tokens, so then you have 4 creatures on board. I guess that's only if your opponent doesn't manage to kill any of those tokens. But it's also cheaper for your other creatures sitting around. I feel like this card's probably pretty good with Mobilize stuff. And just in general in aggressive decks that can make it cheaper. Card seems probably, 3 or 4 mana on average, and that's a great rate for a creature that draws you a card when you play it. Lancers seem fine as your flyers. Dawnbreaker seems pretty sick. Just your 2 mana 2/2 on curve if you need it, that you can then top deck later because you shuffle it back in when you cast that Omen. It's not like an adventure. So if you cast Signaling Roar and make the 2/2, you shuffle this back in, you have to redraw it later. But being able to play your 2 mana 2/2 on curve and then put another good late game play back into your deck, it's pretty sick. And it's a good late game play. 5 mana 3/4, Flying Vigilance. One of your creatures gets +1/+0 each turn. It has to be a creature other than the Dawnbreaker itself, or else it would just be a better Sarah Angel. 4/4 Flying Vigilance by itself getting in, but that's still awesome. This card seems good. Good there. So the removal's all great. These creatures all look pretty great. I mean, Lancer's a little filler. This one, whenever a creature you control dies while it's in your graveyard, pay 2, put it from your graveyard to your hand. Okay. your creatures are going to be dying all the time in Mardu. I mean, just mobilizing guarantees a death in your end step. So that seems good. Just a 2 mana 3/1, you play it early and you pick it up late. Coordinated Maneuver is my least favorite of our non-creature cards. Really dependent on how many creatures you have on board. Now, if we get a bunch of Mobilize, it's still going to be fine. Because we can get it up to like 4 or 5 damage without too much hassle if we have like a Pack Beasts out. But it is like a really bad draw in the late game if you've both wiped each other's boards and you're just sitting there waiting to draw something. But I think I still probably play it here. So white looks really nice, honestly. I mean, the other removal spells we have here are premium stuff. Static Snare, the Exhale, Storm Brood, although that's technically a red removal spell, but still. Really like the white here. I'm skipping over blue because we're just going to play Mardu. For black, more incredible removal. This format does feel loaded with great removal spells. We have 2 Dragon's Prey and 2 Caustic Exhale. So we can be clearing out 3 toughness and less cards easily. We can also use this as a combat trick because we're going to be such an aggressive deck, a really combat-heavy deck. If we attack our 2/2 into their 4/4, we make that 4/4 a 1/1 and win that fight, which is pretty sick. And then Dragon's Prey is just insane. 3 mana to destroy a creature or 5 to destroy a dragon. Most of the dragons are big enough, you're fine with spending 5 to kill them, and 3 mana to kill anything else is really efficient. So I like that. What I don't like is our creature curve is not aggressive in black. These are spells. This is another spell here. We don't play any creatures in black until turn 4. I don't know if we have enough cheap creatures in white to really make this deck aggressive at all, which is a little awkward, but we've got a really nice looking, maybe like black-white kind of controlling deck here set up. Yeah, the creature curve is bad. 1/1 drop, 3 2-mana creatures, and 1 3-mana creature. Very slow at getting a lot of creatures on board, which makes the Pack Beasts worse because you need a lot of creatures early. I like both of these colors individually a lot, but it doesn't look like they pair super well together if we're trying to be aggressive. Now, we could still play them together trying to be really controlling because they look great controlling. I've got a board wipe out of black as well with the Scavenger Regent, but it's not exactly what I wanted. But yeah, there's just tons of removal in this color pair and a full-on board wipe and stuff. What do we have out of the red? Okay, I don't really like that. Red gives us the cheap, aggressive curve of creatures here. Oh yeah, Zurgo's Vanguard too. Seems great with all the mobilized stuff. If we want to go really aggro and we want to get a bunch of creatures on board, I think the best place to do that is Boros. So I really don't mind playing Boros as the main 2 colors. We still get to play all of our strongest black spells. The thing about our black is all of the good black spells are solid draws late game too, because the removal spells still stay really relevant. So I can just play all of the best black spells and play the good Mardu curve. I don't know how good Deathgorger is. That might be better than I'm giving it credit for, but my instinct wants to just cut it here. Oh yeah, I gotta play the multicolored Mardu stuff too. Reigning Victor. Would I play this at 4 mana in this deck? Probably not, but I'll put it in there for now. This would be 5 mana. No. This would be red, white, and 2, maybe. Red, white, and 2. No. Okay, so put all that in. Put the white cards in, keep the 1-drop, keep the 2-drop creatures, which include the 2 Dawnbreakers. This is removal. This is removal. This is not playable by itself. You need more copies for it to actually trigger. This is removal. This is cheaper. It's like 3 mana ideally. Probably 4 mana more often. This is removal. Okay, I have to cut 20 cards, so I'm probably not going to have the room for that other dragon, even if it's okay. So 18 more cards to cut. I'm going to put these back into the creature curve now that I'm sorting by creatures and non-creatures, so I can see the mana curve of my removal spells as well. 2 1-mana creatures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2-mana creatures. I want to keep all of those in, and we're cutting out a bunch of the 3s and 4s. We got a huge chunk there. This is a 2-mana removal spell. So put it at that 2-mana removal slot. Yeah, 3 and 4 mana stuff, we really got to cut down on those. 4 mana, 4/3 reach. When it enters, 1 creature can't block this turn. That seems a little mediocre. I want to play basically everything that says mobilize on it, and that's going to make the Storm Singers pretty powerful at 4 mana. All of our mobilize tokens drain our opponent for a life when they die now, no matter what. That seems pretty good. I'm going to keep that in. Scavenger Regent 100% stays in as a great rare. So cutting down on 4 drops, that leaves the Dragonback Lancers as the only real options there, outside of the Intimidators, which I think are the instant cuts. Reputable Merchants. 3 power and toughness worth of stats for 4, but then it dies and you get a 4th. It's not quite good enough, I think. Storm Sheik Feral's a little expensive, little filler in here. I've already got 2 5-mana dragons when I'm not drawing Signaling Roar in my opening hand. I can just play the Dawnbreaker on 5. And I don't think Flush Out is a particularly good omen. Discard a card, draw 2. Yeah, I think this is worse than these Dawnbreakers, and they fill a pretty similar role, being a 2 or 5 mana play. So that'll be in the maybe slot as well. 3 mana, what do we got? Pack Beasts, 100% stays in. Underdogs, definitely stays in, I think. A 1/2 and a 1/1, and the ability to get things in unblocked. Boltcaster, I think this definitely stays in. This synergizes well with the mobilize mechanic because you're attacking with a bunch of little chump attackers. Your opponent knows they're going to die in the end step anyway, so they're like, all right, well, I'll just block this one to stop that damage, because obviously, like, they're forced attacks. There's no super likely trick here or anything. They're like, boom, Boltcaster, kill your big blocker. So that's nice. Vanguard's great, based on how big your board is. The Victors are solid here, 3/3 mobilizers. I like the Pack Beasts too. I mean, I think I just cut all these, and then we see how many creatures that leaves us with. If this is more than 17, I need to cut a couple more, sadly. Which it probably is. Yeah, this is still 19 creatures. Super, super high. And our removal spells are so quality that I think we're running 17 creatures and then just 7 or 8 great removal spells. I guess Stormbrood has an ability. The Charring Bite. We play it as Charring Bite probably more often than we play it as Stormbrood in this deck. So it's more like 18 creatures right now. But I don't think any of our other cards are strictly being played as spells. They're all just like creatures. Yeah, I probably cast the Scavenger Regent more often as a creature than a spell. So 18 creatures here. Cut 1 more, and then I'm at 17 creatures and then 7 removal spells. So yeah, 17 creatures. A Stormbrood as the first removal spell and run 6 more great ones. So I guess I just cut like a 1 of Reigning Victor. We can keep 1 still in the deck. This is kind of how we make the mana curve a little better, I think. That seems fine. I'll cut 1 Reigning Victor. And now 6 removal spells outside of Stormbrood. Which ones do we play? Coordinated Maneuver is a little bit narrow. The Exhale only works after blocks have been declared or when we're on the defensive. We're a deck that would really like to kill their things before our opponent can play a block or declare a block with them. And I have so much other incredible removal that we cut that there for the stuff that can just get it out of the way immediately. I think the best ones at that are deal 5, deal 4, destroy anything, exile anything for insanely cheap in this deck, and then exile plus make them lose life with inevitable defeat. Yeah, I mean, I'm cutting great cards here, but there's so much in here. I don't have room for all of it. Is Caustic Exhale better than Molten Exhale? So, Molten Exhale can clear out a bigger creature, but Caustic Exhale is instant speed and could be cast for only 1 mana, which is relevant. We have 3 or 4 dragons. That'll happen. Yeah, 4 dragons. That'll happen sometimes, that we do behold a dragon. But I guess it happens just as often as getting to instant speed Exhale does. Oh wow, these are all called Exhales. I should probably call them by the first name then. So we'll be able to Caustic Exhale for 1 mana. The same amount of time we'll be able to Molten Exhale at instant speed. I think going aggro curve, it's a slightly bigger buff to be able to removal for only 1 than it is to be able to kill a slightly bigger creature, especially when our other 5 removal spells all clear out any size creature, so we can use all these on the big stuff. I'm going to go Caustic Exhale over Molten Exhale. And then we cut a land. I'll redo the mana base later. We're at 16 lands. I can't really cut another land. I still have to cut one more spell. Because this is 7 non-creature cards, and then the 8th is the Stormbrood too. Format is too strong. Maybe I cut a Mardu Devotee. What I could do... Another thing to consider that I wasn't considering... All of our creatures until 4 mana are red or white. So we can go really deep on Boros here if I play the Molten Exhale instead of the Caustic Exhale. So our cheapest removal is red instead of black. All of our black removal we can wait till really late for. And then we don't need to have black mana to cast any creatures till 4 lands total. And by focusing up on 2 main colors, we can also deal with having a slightly less consistent mana base by not running just like a Devotee here. I think that's what I'm going to do. Cut the Devotee, and then cut the black removal for the red removal, so that I can go really high on red and white sources and always have those colors ready. And have black be the, not really a splash, we're still definitely full Mardu, but have it be the lightest color here. I'm going to double check my triomes. My tri-lands. I have no other tri-lands? Oh no, I've got green, blue, red, but that doesn't help us at all. Should definitely always check for the other clans' tri-lands. We've got a Sandstep Citadel, so that actually does help a little. Most sealed decks, I think you want to play off-color tri-lands. Just as dual lands here. So this is a black-white dual for us. When you're really aggressive, so when you're Mardu or Jeskai and you have a good curve out like this, there's a real cost to running another land that enters tapped. And I'm already running a lot of tap lands here, so I think the cost is high enough to probably not run that as well, because we want to curve out so often. I want to have a lot of untapped lands if I can. See, I'm not quite at the point of running black-white duel with no abilities, like no incidental life gain or anything like that, in this more aggressive build. I could honestly maybe even see an argument for cutting some number of the on-color duels that also gain a life, but I'm not gonna go that far in the interest of always having untapped lands. We'll still run all those, but not quite gonna put Sandstep Citadel in here. So one last check on our colors here. 11 white cards, 10 red, and 7 black, but the black spells as well, as I said before, are all quite late games. So red and white, super important. Pretty much equally important here. And then black is the tertiary color. So I have 4, 5, 6, 7 red cards, 7 red sources, and 9 white sources. If I cut a plains and add a mountain, then we have 8 of each. So an 8-8 split of the 2 main colors, the most important colors here. And I still have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 black sources. I have 8 of each main color and still 7 of the third color here. I think I want to cut another swamp at that point. Black is not that important. I need 8 sources of it. Or sorry, 7 sources of it. It's close though, because we really do want the 4 drops turn 4 ideally. And I do have a double black card there too. I don't have anything that costs double red or double white, so that's really helpful. I only need to get 1 red source and 1 white source. I guess white is slightly more represented in the deck than red, so I could see cutting a swamp for another white source, but I'm actually going to keep it here. And then we should pretty consistently hit all 3 colors. We'll see. All right, solid looking Mardu aggro deck this time around. Wanted to play it out pretty different this time around, really stick to our clan, play something pretty aggressive. So we'll see how that works out for us in our Mardu sealed deck this time around. So without further ado, let's hop into the gameplay, see how well it does. All right, here we are on the play for game number 1. Don't start things off till turn 3. Not really what we want to be doing with this deck, but we have some really nice synergy here. The Pack Beast goes really hard with Vanguard and Stormsinger and the other Pack Beast, so I'm a big fan of that. I hope we're playing against Teamer. They've got the Teamer sleeves, the Teamer avatar, the Teamer land, and there they go. Veteran Ice Climber. 2 mana, 1/3 Vigilance. Can't be blocked whenever it attacks. Up to 1 target player mills cards equal to its power. So Teamer does have the Harmonize mechanic. So they could be milling themselves here, because Harmonize is basically flashback, but you can also flashback for a little cheaper. So they might mill themselves and try to get some of those flashback cards going. Ah, they do have the Exhale for that Pack Beast. That's pretty rough, because that card is going to be so strong with so many of these other ones. They're just going to mill me with the Ice Climber, fair enough. They do mill a solid card there, but just as likely to have had like a land on top and drawn into something better thanks to them milling, so whatever they hit is whatever they hit. Jam down the Stormsinger now. Another Molten Exhale. No. Kill all my goodies. Mill a land. Find inevitable defeats. It is not worth exiling just to mill 1 creature this early. So we play the Vanguard, then the Victor, and buff it next turn. It attacks for 4. We'll have 3 creatures on board, and it'll have +1/+0. Oh, Wingblade Disciple I need to kill. If they flurry and cast 2 cards in 1 turn, getting another flyer out is going to be nasty. How did they get both copies of Static Snare? RNGesus is not happy with me right now. Alright, this is a good card here. I get to flurry myself. Double spell, killing that Disciple. I don't have anything that cares about flurrying and casting 2 spells in 1 turn, but I still get to do it. Alright, we got solid attackers to swing into this Ice Climber. Oh, just Ice Climbers from Smash Bros. Don't wobble me, please. No infinites. Okay, they have a Mana Dork that can also blow up a flyer. That is a weird card design, but it's decent. And then Botanist draws them a land, potentially, every time it becomes tapped. Got a chance of doing so. Okay. Swing here, and then see if we can do anything fancy with inevitable defeat. Probably not. Guess they're not going to double block, right? They might just go like Strike Master into Vanguard, and I'm not super happy with that, but I'm pretty happy with any forebear trades. Maybe I'm supposed to just Pack Beast, send in forebear pass. That seems fair. Boltcaster, that makes our attacks way better next turn. Swiftwater Cliffs, another blue-red dual land. The Roar of Endless Song, that's the card I decided not to try to go after. It's insanely powerful, but we just don't have a lot of Teamer cards being a Mardu field pool. So I'm going to probably have to exile that so they don't get another 5/5 and then double the whole board and go crazy. I just don't have a chance otherwise. This is essentially exiling a 5/5 and stopping a big double effect, so it's the best that removal's ever going to get. Rescue Leopard, 4/2 for 3. Whenever it becomes tapped, discard a card, draw a card. That's very good at harmonizing. Harmonize being the flashback ability, you can tap your creatures to make it cost less for equal to their power. So this would make a harmonized card cost 4 less, and it would let them discard a card, draw a card when they do that. Pretty cute. Alright, I think our opponent DC'd for the turn here. Well, we'll just get the Vanguard a position where it can attack well by giving it indestructible. Send in the Vanguard and the Forebear, since I can bring the Forebear back pretty consistently. And then we just Boltcaster, the best card we can kill here. Alright, they're back. They're ready for the blocks. Botanist for the 3/1, sure. No Boltcaster shenanigans here. Still play a 3/3 to go wide. I think we just pass. Then I've got the mana up for that Forebear. Send in the Leopard and the Ice Climber, no blocks. Mill the Swamp. They discard a card, draw a card. Ooh, if they get 7 cards in grave, which they can get a 6th off that ability, then it goes pretty crazy. Okay, and then a Root Envoy. Oh, hello, Headliner. Headliner's kind of crazy here. Damages the number of creatures you control to a creature. I can kill the Light Shatter thing here. I could also... It's 1 and a red to use that. I need 3 up to also play Boltcaster. So I can do that. And kill the 5/5. They have 3 blockers. 3 blockers against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attackers. I get in for 2. They eat my Victor with the Envoy. This feels worth it. Even if they eat the Victor with the Envoy. Because then I use the Boltcaster on the Envoy. They just take the trades elsewhere. This is instant speed, right? Yeah, instant speed. So attack all. Mobilize, mobilize. And then I can do 5 to that. And I think I had to attack all to do 5. Yeah, because this gets sacked. So I had to do the Victor attack. For that mobilize as well, for sure. Eat the Victor, trade into the Vanguard. And the Climber just chumps. They're down to 3. And here's the Boltcaster to finish off the Envoy. So they're down to 2 creatures on board. We got 2 creatures on board, so we are in the top deck board, but we can force trades next turn to clear their board and then just drop down our 3/1, which lethals them in 1 swing. Or I could just try to lethal right now. Attack both. Top deck removal is game. Now that doesn't seem right, does it, Arena? That doesn't seem accurate. Alright, well... I guess that's technically a draw, but we are playing on Wizards of the Coast Monopoly bucks right now, so I'm okay with not getting quite as much gems as I could out of the event. I'm going to tally that as a win. So if we make it to 6 wins, I will end the draft there and say that it was a 7-win run in the interest of getting more games in future sealeds and drafts that I'm recording in this one 24-hour period here. I do not have infinite time, so I'm not going to like try to win 8 times before moving on to the next deck. Now, if it was on my personal account, I definitely would do that because I need more gems. But these are all Monopoly Bucks gems, so I'm just going to say we're 2-0 right now, heading into game 3. Actually, was that our first game? I might be losing my mind. So it said draw, which would make me assume it didn't tally it as a win, but I also don't remember if I played against anybody else. I'll figure it out. If we get to a 6-win run, I'll double check the recording and see if we're at 7 wins yet, or if that draw did count as a win for us, like it should have. So we've got all 3 of our colors here, but our curve's really slow. This Pack Beast is 5 mana. I have no other creatures to make it cheaper. Just blow up everything they do to buy time here. That should be fine. 2/2 Devotee, sure. We cast our second spell. Each turn it gets ++1 until end. We attack it. I don't think they're going to want to take the trade here. I'll be a little sad if they do take this trade, but I don't think... Okay. I can say that is quite a trade up for us. We get rid of their Mana Fixer and their Flurry buffer, so I was expecting to just get 2 free points of damage in there. It does play a little poorly if they block, but I thought it was going to be really unlikely that they would, so... It's awkward. Alright, well that's a bomb rare right there. That is... draw the best 2 cards out of their top 6, and then start giving a bunch of stuff double strike. How does this happen? Both the praise, both the snares, the majority of the removal, here we are. Here's our 3/3 mobilizer, so I have a chance of playing Pack Beast next turn. An unlikely chance, but a chance nonetheless. They'd have to have nothing on board, then I can attack and have 2 creatures down. And we get to play a land off the top, play the 4/3 and draw a card. So far, nothing on their board. Basic land off the top, let's go. Come on. Never mind. They tap our Victor. Well, there's a threat, at least. Headliner. Not a big threat, but I have so much removal to clear a path for it that it's probably still relevant. And if it isn't, if their blockers are too big to ever attack with this, I can just use it as a removal spell instead. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you gain 1 and draw a card. Ooh, draw a card. I wish Snare were cheap enough for that right now, but it is not. So yeah, they're up a card again. They started the game with a 2-for-1, slammed down another 2-for-1. They are quite a bit ahead in card advantage, that's for sure. Pack Beast is pretty cool, but I'd rather just kill the Shrine Keeper immediately. I guess I could have done it with a Static Snare instead, but I think that's going to be easier to kill other stuff with. Oh no, I'm dumb! I forgot how Headliner works! Oh, it came up last game too, and I completely forgot. Well, that probably seals it. If it's any consolation, this hand was really bad, regardless, against multi 2-for-1 dot deck. Yeah, alright. Yikes. They turned this into a stunned basic land, so I'm just stuck on mana now. Wow. Okay. Well, played this like a complete buffoon, but looks like an almost definite loss, even if I played it right. They have 2 other Shrine Keeper. Alright. You got me. we'll check out our last draw step and then move on to what I think is game 3. I think that's 1-1 headed to game 3, but there was that weird draw thing that happened, so we might be 2-1 right now. I don't remember. Here we are for game 3. Man, I'm on a 17 creature deck. I gotta hit my creatures to curve out. Hands like this are just like, they're powerful removal spells, but we saw last game, like, we gotta get those early creature curves. We actually gotta do something proactive when we're aggro. This would be a great control hand, but I'm gonna keep it anyway. The cards are so powerful. If I hit any of my 2-drops to curve into the Boltcaster, that'll be spectacular. We've got all 3 of our colors as well, which is not super likely to happen every opener. Playing against Jeskai, they start with Mystic Monetary, now Windscarred Crag. There we go. We hit a 2-drop, and we get to curve here a little. Sunset Strike Master. Alright, the trade is fine already. Here's the underdogs now. Yeah, the 1 toughness is rough against Mardu with all the 1/1s and 1/2s and mobilize cards for 1/1 tokens there. But it will still be some mana for our opponent. A 1/4 flyer, much better at blocking, plus gives them the flurry into another Sure Strike. Or not Sure Striker, Strike Master. Would like to attack through that Bell Ringer. But I guess we just let the Goblin Boltcaster the Bell Ringer, probably. Their other blocks are not good, with just a 1 toughness 3/1 here. They also might just not block, that would also be kind of sick. Then I just tap out for Stormsinger. Okay, they do block. Boltcaster it'll be. Draw a card. They can recast it from their grave with Harmonize as well. 6/5 Effortless Master. Gonna be pretty effortless to kill that because my hand is loaded with removal. I can't play a Pack Beast and a Static Snare, can I? No, there's gonna be 3 attacking creatures. So it's 2 mana for that. I can play Exhale and Static Snare, but I don't really want to. I'm just okay with trading into Strike Masters right now. So we'll just tap out for Inevitable Defeat, if all I can afford is 1 removal spell right now anyway. Wouldn't be surprised to see these Strike Masters finally trade off. Trade into the 3/3, trade into the 2/2. It's going to be trade into the 3/3 only, take the rest of the damage. Do have the 5 damage rule. They clear out the 1/2 over the 2/2. Ooh, double spell with Sage of the Skies. That is gross. 2/3 flying lifelinks here. Can definitely clear them out though. Not immediately here. Static Snare costs me 4 mana. A creature you control dies. Okay, I can play Pack Beasts and Exhale one of the Sages. And then I can actually Stormsinger and Static Snare the other one, which will be really good. Gain a couple life, go to 13. 1 card in hand and a draw 1 in their graveyard. If they want to flash back instead. They do flash back the draw 1, and they tap the Strike Master to do it. Play a land? Stormsinger? No auto tapper, absolutely not. Stormsinger. Huge damage off Stormsinger's triggers here. And I've got a second copy too. That would be so gross. They got their own snare? Osseous Exhale, okay. I still get my 1 mobilize trigger that's really important to static snare their lifelinker. Beautiful. They go to 7, I get the triple ping off Stormsinger. Cast a second Stormsinger. Should be real hard for them to recover from. Stormsinger seems awesome. I am so glad I added that to the black cards we shoved in here. If they missed on this draw step, they're just dead to Stormsinger 2. Double Stormsinger versus double Strike Master. Who would win? Probably double Stormsinger. Last card is Rally the Monastery. A couple 1/1 tokens, but double Stormsinger means the life drain can still get them really hard here. So it is rough to trade into anybody. Yeah, they're just dead, I think, because the life drain off of taking these trades. Oh yeah, they're so dead. They are overkill dead. All right, that is our second victory. We are 2-1, maybe 3-1 right now. All right, here we are for game number 4 now. We got a really solid start here. I stopped the recording to look back on it and see exactly what game we were playing, and that's why we started mid-game here. I forgot to start the recording again until turn 2. So we've got a good start here. They don't really have anything going on, so we're just jamming in with Brigade. I was hoping to hit an untapped land or for them to play a good creature that turn so that I could just Charring Bite their threat if I didn't hit an untapped land, and then if I did, I could play Underdogs or something there, but neither of those things happened, so the curve went a little awkwardly for us. We definitely attack in first here. If they block, we get to Bolt Cast away the Disciple, and if they don't block, we'll just kill it with the Stormbrood's Bite. But the Disciple, again, we've seen it a couple times before, definitely scary enough to throw removal at. Make sure they don't flurry out any bird tokens everywhere. Okay, bunch of open mana here. This is going to be some kind of instant speed removal or flash creature or something. We just jam in and respond accordingly main phase 2. Tap a creature, draw a card? Sure, we still get 2 damage in and nobody's dead. Fair enough. So, this is definitely a hand where we want to keep the 5-drop dragon, so we play the 1/2 and the 1/1 here. I've got the mana to play this out next turn, buff somebody up on the swing. Could be pretty good. They play a Tawny back. Like that card a good bit. Played with it in our Teamer sealed pool. 4/3, draw a card, discard a card. A little difficult to cast, but that's what the hybrid mana is for. The 2-brid mana. Just spend 2 generic instead. Play a 4-mana 4/3. Draw a card, discard a card. Piercing Exhale. Alright, pretty good turn for our opponent, but they are tapped out, so I know that the Dawnbreaker can resolve here. So this feels like a solid opportunity to just do that. And hit for 2 damage. Hand is loaded with removal. If they don't play a bunch of stuff that we need to kill, then we can play the Stormbrood as a big flyer instead. So we cast the other removal spells first. This So that's pretty good against our token, but it's just a 3/3 now. If I Static Snare, Inevitable Defeat, or Storm Brood away the Tawny back, we can still get the Menace and the flying damage in here. Can actually underdogs the 1/1 in as well. So let's Inevitable Defeat. I still have a Static Snare and Storm Brood for something else. I guess I should probably save Inevitable Defeat where when they have more blue mana up. And for something scarier, because if they have enchantment removal to blow up Static Snare, I'd rather them get just like a 4/3 back than some Balm that could show up later. I guess I might as well get the cost reduction, right? So I have to go instant speed. I gotta do like math and stuff here. Not math, but I gotta declare attacks, reduce costs. I'm gonna do specific timings and stuff. So now this is the maximum cost reduction. Now I can snare the Tawny back. And I can unblockable the 1/1. Now I don't think I really needed to do all that cost reduction, but you might as well to threaten something else here. Because yeah, I'm still 1 mana off from holding up defeat there. Unless I didn't make the 1/1 unblockable. That was an alternate line we could go for. Okay, Twin Bolt the underdogs. And bounce the Dawnbreaker, okay. Send in the 3/3, it's not going to be blocking anyway. Reigning Victor is the draw for us. Can't double spell any 2 creatures here. I'm going to replay Dawnbreaker. It is 1 less damage per turn than the Storm Brood is. And the Storm Brood is also a removal spell if I need to play 2 removal spells this game, so Storm Brood is much more flexible in our hand than Dawnbreaker is. At this point in the game, Dawnbreaker is just strictly the big dragon. We're not doing anything with the 2 mana Omen there. Alright, that's a big creature they can harmonize the rebuff with and bounce the Dawnbreaker again here. Pretty big. Yep. Slow us down. They're taking 2 damage on board. If I kill the Serpent. If I don't kill the Serpent, they still take 1. I do have the mana to play the Dawnbreaker and kill the Serpent in the same turn. I think that's efficient enough to just Storm Brood. I still have Inevitable Defeat for later. Hit for 3, put them to 3 life, which puts them dead to Inevitable Defeat. Even if they can have a stable board, if they don't get any life. Lightning Helix for 3 sometimes just does it. And it's completely uncounterable too, which is wild. Technically, there is a way you can kind of like counter the life drain, and that would be if they have a way to kill their own dragon, they kill it in response, and then this doesn't resolve at all. Pretty corner case, but it is important to keep in mind there is a slight possibility we don't actually get the life drain there, but it works out fine. We drain them for the 3. Even if it didn't drain them, just removal at that point was going to be lethal. So we are 3-1 heading into game number 5. Here we are on the draw for game number 5. I mean, it's a keep. It's all of our colors, multiple 2 mana creatures to play. If we hit a 3rd land drop, we got tons of action from there. I just had to think over the cards for a second. I definitely don't have everything memorized yet. Botanist. If I had cheap removal, I would insta-kill that. I don't have cheap removal, but I do have a big enough blocker to threaten to kill it if they don't have something of their own. A removal spell, some way to buff it, anything like that. We're really hoping they don't, because Botanist, if it gets to keep tapping turn over turn, has a really nice ability. If they have any lands on top, they just straight up draw the land, so it's a good card draw engine. Dig through any land clumps, make sure they keep hitting their land drops. No matter what, it surveils as well. If there's a non-land on top, they can just mill it. Gotta try to kill it here. And we do successfully kill it. Way too early in the format to know about any combat tricks to be playing around there. Alright. So they do ramp up with Roamer's Routine, and they can do it again next turn. They could play untapped land and just cast that again. Let's go for the Zergo's Vanguard here, shall we? That's the creature that's going to threaten to attack for as much damage as possible next turn, because we can play the underdogs and then attack, mobilize. That's a 4 damage Vanguard with a 1/1 token alongside it. Tawny back here. There will be 2 attacking creatures, so Static Snare will cost 3. I can't Static Snare the Tawny back here. Okay, they just tap it to ramp again. Cool teamer stuff going on. That's a lot of what we were doing with our last deck. It was a 5-color teamer deck at the base, but fixed a bunch of mana off all these ramp spells and stuff. And ramped it a Crater of Behemoths. If you haven't seen that sealed yet, definitely check out that one. That was sweet. All right, we're really happy to see the Tawny back just be completely tapped here, because now we get a nice simple turn of our own. We play our tap land, play our underdogs, don't worry about any interaction, just jam 5 in. Pretty good damage here. Exactly what Mardu wants to be doing. If their board somehow sucks next turn, we can just hardcast the Dawnbreaker, but I imagine it's going to be a Static Snare turn. So here's the Teamer Monument. Picks up a Forest, Island, or Mountain from their deck, but it also sacks for 6 mana to become a 5/5 Elephant. I'm a pretty big fan of these monuments. We played the Sultai one. I've never even seen any of the other monuments yet, but the Sultai monument was great. That one sacked for 5 mana to make 2/2/2 zombies. Okay, so on board, things are not the worst for us here. So I think we just hardcast the Dawnbreaker and get this probably removal spelled or counterspelled or something. Well, there's no point attacking with the creatures that just died a Tawny back, so give the Vanguard 1 extra power here and probably trade it into the Tawny back, get that out of the way for everybody else to get in. Maybe trade it for removal. Ooh, Flash Flying Stormbrood, so they can prevent all the damage, but we still just trade Vanguard to Tawny back as kind of assumed there. So they're up a lot of cards here. We're a little flooded. We don't have much going on in our hand. Whereas they've got 4 cards we don't know about and a 5/5 Elephant. Now the 5/5 Elephant is not instant speed. We don't have to worry about that here. So we're just going to jam everybody with a Boltcaster and a Static Snare to play around with. Flying Ward 2. That costs 4 mana to target it. And I have already played my land for turn. That's kind of brutal. That's exactly out of reach. Because I can snare it, but I can't snare plus Boltcaster this turn, so now I am just straight up losing my underdogs here. Not expecting quite that. I should have probably been expecting it. I forgot the Stormblood gives all of their dragons flash. Or the Stormbrood gives all of their dragons flash. That's kind of rough. If I remembered that, I probably wouldn't have attacked so aggressively with the tokens here. But that opens up the amount of things they could have at instant speed by a lot. So any sorcery or dragon in their hand, they're just going to flash out at instant speed. But now I just bolt cast it if it's a really big dragon that can block Dawnbreaker without dying. Drawing way too many lands for aggro here. And just use removal here. Oh my god. Stormbrood lets them use Nature's Rhythm at instant speed to surprise put any creature in their whole deck onto the battlefield. That is really bad for me. They also have quadruple green, so they can recast this from their grave. They can harmonize it next turn. Yeah. If we didn't get out to just an incredible aggressive curve to kill them before they get to these high mana value cards, we're just not going to have much of a chance against the big late game 2-for-1s that Temur can provide, like Nature's Rhythm. The Monument's going to be huge here. This looks bad. Okay, it looks like their best card they could pick up is just that dragon, so that's not as horrible for me as I thought it was going to be. At least I just trade into that, but no Boltcaster value is kind of sad. I have to hold on to Boltcaster here. If I run it out, they just get to make a 5/5 elephant, and I have no attacks. Now, if they make a 5/5 elephant, I still get to attack it and then Boltcaster it, and just pick the 4-bear right back up anyway. Well, they're not making a 5/5 elephant, but they are Nature's Rhythming into whatever they want. And then I just kill it with Boltcaster. I'm pretty happy to have a creature that's as expendable as this 4-bear is to be able to do this. Pick up a 2/4. Mill 3 looking for some Harmonized Gas. They did not find any Harmonized Gas. One of the things to note about this format, if you're ever concerned about milling yourself out, this is not a format where it's particularly easy to do that. Even if you have a bunch of self-mill cards, the Omen mechanic on all the dragons allows you to just cast Omens over and over again, and they shuffle back into your deck every time. So if you just keep recasting an Omen, you cannot mill out. So like the green one, my favorite one I've played with so far at Common is 1 green mana, search your library for a basic, and then shuffle the Omen back into your deck. Once you run out of basics, or even if you wanted to before then, you can just spend a green mana and shuffle that into your deck. So like if I'm down to 0 cards in hand, but I have that Omen in my hand, I could just play it every single turn and never mill out. Weird kind of corner case, but it could matter in Sealed where these games do go pretty long, it feels like. All right, they're going to flash at a dragon. We're going to defeat it. Protection from white and black. Never mind, this dragon just solos my whole deck. Well, it even blows up my whole board when it enters. It doesn't even have to be flashed here, because it didn't even need to block. They just die immediately. Yikes. Alright. Well, that's certainly a way to lose. That's kind of perfect against Mardu and Abzan. You just mega lose to that card. It's protection from the majority of your deck. Cool. They have exact lethal in the sky, so I have to defeat the Stormbrood here. This can't be countered, so I can still do it during their turn. It might actually still be able to get fizzled by a Snakeskin Veil. I've lost this game no matter what, so I'd be interested to see if they Snakeskin Veil. Does it get fizzled still? Or does that count as countering? I think it fizzles to a Snakeskin Veil, because that's not countering it, that's just it not having a legal target. So I think they could have actually still Snakeskin Veiled us there. But I mean, there's nothing in the entire deck to do anything about this for any. This card seems insane. Yeah, they definitely got us with that Mythic Dragon. Really cool one. Pretty cool way to die, but certainly an unbeatable card for us. That is 3-2 heading into game number 6. All right, here we are for game 6. We are 3-2 right now, teetering on the edge between a perfectly average run or a positive win rate. We've got a great opening hand here, but we're on the draw. That's going to slow us down a little. We're starting with a Shock Brigade, following up with Underfoot Underdogs. So pretty good curve out, great cheap removal to keep the path clear for those cards. We've got Perfect Man as well, Nomad Outpost, Bloodfell Caves later. Definitely be able to cast everything in our deck. Our opponent just setting up their mana here. The Wildling grabbing a green source, or grabbing a blue and a black source here. So pure Soul Tie. They played a green-blue-black land already, and they picked up more black and blue mana, so not some crazy splashy 5-color deck or anything. Here's the Shock Brigade. Warden of the Grove from our opponent. That is a must-kill threat. I'll use the Exhale, because it is possible to... my mind just died. It does that a lot. It's possible to want to cast the Stormbrood as a big flyer later, but there's nothing else that Molten Exhale does. It just kills a creature, so we will kill the creature with that. There's a Night Watch for a 3/3 blocker here. Does not block the 1 power of Menace every turn, at least. But I may still want to clear a path. 5/4 flyer gain 5 is pretty big. Probably better than killing a 3/3. Yeah, I'll just jam 1 in here. And saving the removal for a scarier card seems good too, like a Tygam. Wow, yeah, they just double spell with that and they get immediate value. That's rough. Yeah, even if I held up instant speed removal, the way that it works is I don't get priority until they play their next action after that resolves. I have priority while it's on the stack, but as soon as it hits the board, I don't get priority again until they take another game action. So if that action is casting another spell and triggering Flurry, too bad. Your instant speed Dragon's Prey did nothing to stop Tygam from flurrying. Alright. I think I'm still holding on to the Stormbrood here. I hate that this is just going to pick up Tygam and kill something. But it's suspend 4, so it's going to be a while. I still have to do this. I can't let Tygam just hang out the whole time. Because, I mean, they're so likely to double spell next turn. We know they have a 3 mana spell. So any other 2 or 3 mana card is going to go crazy here. Please do not. Please do not. I mean, now Tygam's not around to flurry, but I would still prefer if they don't have another good cheap spell. Okay, they're not going to do it yet. They probably did with the fact that they waited there that long. They just want to wait till they can endure with it, at least, I guess. Alright, let's find some more spells, please. I am on a 16 land deck here, so not an insane amount of lands. Ooh, Pack Beast is a great one. Play that, draw a card. I still have a Charring Bite up if they are flashing in something weird here, which feels like the play. So they're going to flash in something and kill my 1/1. Yeah, this was super suspicious. Alright, solid free kill on the Stormbrood. I'll absolutely lose a 1/1 to get that on the board. Oh, without flying? Never mind. I forgot about that. Well, I guess I sacked the 1/1 Goblin for 1 damage then instead. Snare's looking pretty hot here. Trade into the 4/3, take some damage. They got 1 card left here. But this Lie in Wait resolves next turn. So if I play Stormbrood, they can pick up their flyer and kill my Stormbrood. Now they have to kill Shock Brigade only. Probably still picking up Tygam. Oh no, they pick up a 6 mana 3/5 flyer, sure. Oh, it's got Death Touch too? Shoot. They top deck a Lotus Light Dancers. Or, I mean, it could have been in their hand. They had one card just chilling. No idea what that would have been. Big Lifelinker. It's out of reach of my 5 damage removal, and it gives them a Harmonize card to flash back from the grave, and a Renew card to buff somebody up and give them flying. Yep, this looks like the stabilize and flip the game kind of board state here. 12 life. So they give their Lifelinker flying. It's going to be a 5/8 flying lifelink after they use Goldkeeper. I can't even do what I would want to do, which would be deal 5 to it with Bite and then also Bolt Cast it next turn. Because if I wait till they renew onto it, then it's a flyer and I can no longer target it with Charring Bite. But if I do that right now, then they just get to keep this in the grave and just play the 3/5 Flying Death Touch instead. And I have a 3/3 against a 3/5 Flying Death Touch. I really don't have a good play either way. I do still have another Static Snare and an Inevitable Defeat in this deck to exile any creature, so I think we hope they just like tap out to make the dancers bigger, and then we draw into one of those. That feels like our best possible bet, because Stormbrew just casting it's big enough to at least trade into Death Gorger if they get that down later. So we just try to find exile removal. So again, the only other way to play it out here would be to have nothing but a 3/3 left when they have a Death Gorger and a couple other cards. A Death Gorger, and they'd still have their Renew card in the grave if I killed the Dancers. They're going to gain 5 each combat, so I don't think an extra 3 damage a turn is going to be relevant at all right now. Versus maybe killing something big with a mobilized 1/1. They go up to 13. They have 2 Warden of the Grove in the sealed pool? Yikes. I was wondering, I'm like, how'd they get that back this time? I mean, Reigning Victor is a good draw, but it is not going to get us there. We are dead on board to their flyers. I guess if I hold the Stormbrew back, then I'm not. Hold that back for the Wildling if they don't block with it. But, like, I'm not going to block Lotus Light Dancers anyway. I guess I have the 5/4 for the 3/3, so we just bolt cast the Warden instead to stop them from getting +1/+1 counters and 1/1s everywhere. But I don't see how we turn this game around. Unless we had like a Ruinous Ultimatum in our sealed pool. Destroy all non-land permanents your opponent's control. But we don't. My god. Yeah, that's like 6 rares and like Sultai alone in that sealed pool. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, no, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6. Just Sultai alone. Alright, well, they got me. 3-1 on the ground, not gonna block the 4/3 flyer. That was just an incredibly powerful deck from our opponent. I would say that deck was probably as strong as our 5-color deck, where we splashed into like all 5 colors to run that many rares and bombs and stuff. They just had that many in their main clan alone. A wildly explosive deck. They're going to absolutely crush us, and we are 3-3 as the final record for this Mardu sealed deck. Still had a good time with it. Still got a few wins with it, a solid average record. I do think that the sealed format certainly favors the splashier, slower, grindier decks like we saw with our 4-color build and our 5-color build on the first 2 sealed events. I think both of those were slightly better than this deck, but this does show off how powerful Mardu is as an aggressive strategy, the power of the mobilize mechanic with all the cards that work with it, like the Storm Singer, draining your opponent life as those tokens are dying, as you're just trading off creatures being aggressive in general. I do think Mardu is a very, very powerful clan, but I think it's going to be a bit stronger in draft where you have much more control over your mana curve and how aggressive you can get with the deck than it is in sealed for sure. So I think Mardu and Jeskai can play some really, really nice aggro decks in the format to try to punish some of the really slow multicolor builds, but I still think that they are definitely more well positioned for the draft format than the sealed format. But they can still be pretty spicy if you get pretty lucky with your pulls. So 3 and 3 for today's deck. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube audience send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.